Well, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest out there. Let's be a little bit more polite. Unbelievable. Today is Monday, Easter Monday. Yesterday I posted my video. Finally, spring is over. It has finally reached here. And I woke up in bed already a bit fresh because 2-3 days ago I put away most of the heaters. Only basic heat in the house at this moment. And I woke up, I was quite cold. I said, oh, God. So I got up to go to do my daily chores in the toilet. And here I look outside, it's a freaking snowstorm outside. Oh, I gotta get Anki in. And I'm back. Anki is back in. As you have noticed, I forgot to mention that in my last 2 videos she had a haircut just a week ago, and it was because in the view of the coming spring, and I want her to have an early haircut. So when the flies, the flies start, the season of the flies, mosquitoes, that she has already grown back some of the hair, and she has protection from them. But today, of course, with this new cold weather for a few days there, boy, she was surprised. Ooh, that's cold. She goes out, she pees, she wants to be back in, and in a hurry. Gotta put the camera straight. Well. Alright, now we have a straight camera. Sorry for that. Well, today I will make a quick video about what I said, all the funny things. The video from outside the snow I will show you now. Hello, good morning. Today is, what day is it, for God's sakes? I think, well, it's Easter Monday. Should be the 18th, I guess. Well, however, I woke up this morning, it was a bit cold in bed. So what the hell? Because I put away all the winter heating stuff, and I go up and look outside, and I realize I may have been slightly premature in announcing and calling my last video winter is over and spring is here. And well, I woke up to a real Canadian news breaking story. We soon gonna be into May, and I woke up to weather like this. And of course, it's the first day when I didn't put my windshield wipers up, and we gonna get this crap coming. I can hardly believe it. This is something else. Well, for happy Easter to me. Okay, I knew there was some snow coming on Easter, but I did not think it would come with a sort of a mini wallop. Well, there you go. You can never be happy too early. Sorry for my attire and my haircut, and I just fresh out of bed, and I figured, hey, I gotta show this to you guys. Unbelievable. Well, so the story in history and reporting of winter continues. Hello, this is a little slip-in video again. I had actually a brilliant idea. I called yesterday my best buddy, my pal, my bud. I caught him lying to me because I asked him, oh, did you watch my video? He said, yes. I said, did you watch it all? Because I know Tony gets bored with my videos, and half of it, I guess, he just shuts out and turns off the video and said, well, that's good enough. He said, yes, I saw it all. I said, did you see the jokes on the end? He said, what jokes? And it turns out he did not see what I tried to be funny about, and I wanted to have his opinion if he thinks it was funny or was it stupid. So he lies to me. And for people like Tony, I know you're out there, so people like you who do not watch my videos to the end, well, I understand. My life is boring. It even bores me at times. I want you to know that after this thing, what I give you now the okay to shut off, because you will have about 10 minutes me explaining how my life rolled up a little bit to come into Canada and why I'm here. And I also will follow this by 7 to 8 minutes of my drones and drone stories. Boring crap, and only for people who care, who want to know. That might be interesting. For other people, bye-bye. That was my Easterly proof of life in Canada at its best. And coffee is perking. I will make another stop in a few minutes to get my coffee. And I will start telling you about my life, what happened, generally in quick positions, I got to Canada. My life has been falling under one sort of a star of a prediction that everything in my life, in my age group born in 1951, I sort of slipped into the last of this type, meaning my group, my year 51 of being born was one of the last years that had to go to school, start the basic school with 5 years old. As we know now, 5 years is just not an age to go seriously to school all day long. Then they didn't. A year or two later, it was changed in Germany to 7 years, the school began. But me, I started at 5, which means I did my 8 years. In Germany, you have to go to sort of 4 or 5 years, and then you have to decide if you go the academic way, like university and so on, or if you stay in the ground school system and just go in for the, I don't know what you would call it, like apprenticeship to learn a trade kind of a way. Me, since I was 10 years old, even before, 9 years old, I think, I knew I wanted to be a chef. I knew cooking was it. I started cooking some meals on Sundays. I was even baking the odd little cake. It was something with cherries in a floating mix. I forgot now how it was done, but that was every Sunday. My sister did first, then I started learning how to do it. And we did like pork chops, that was our meat for Sunday, and then potatoes and some kind of vegetables. Most of the time it was like the cut-offs from asparagus out of cans, and we did it in a white sauce. It was good for us. Now I probably would not be all that happy anymore with that, but that's what we did. So with 13 I was finished with school, and my parents had to look for me for a place of apprenticeship in the little town where we lived. There wasn't a good enough restaurant to be actually learning how to cook. So I had to move away with 13 to live in a big city about 4 or 5 hours away from the town where we lived in Rottweil, and I moved to Ulm. And I stayed in Ulm. Well, my parents, eventually my father was transferred to Ulm a year later. But for 1 year I lived in Ulm alone, meaning when I was 13, that was the last year of my teenies. After that I had no teenage life. I was never doing the dumb thing teenagers do it, because I couldn't. I was working and working quite hard. And I was the odd times every 2-3 weeks. I got like a day off to come home for 1 day. And that really, well, never mind. It was tough times. I survived it. I was finished with my apprenticeship with 16. 16 is usually an age where most kids don't even know how to open the fridge and do a slice of butter bread on the butter. And I was already supposed to be a man. So I went to the military registration. They call it Erfassung in Germany. Now, with my luck, during this time, it was one of the last years where the army was still something you had to do. There was no choice, you had to do it, and at this time it was almost 2 years and 2.5 years, close to 3 years army service, for no money. I already spent the last 3 years of my life working for no money, day and night at the restaurant, and now I should add another 2 to 3 years to spend for the life, to protect my fatherland in his sleep. And of course, what would I do when I go to the military? They stick me in any kitchen and I'd be cooking for nothing again. So I decided to flee the country. I was sort of like what you would call the American style. I moved to Canada. So I went to Switzerland, and I spent my next 8 years in Switzerland, of my career. I did my first, I went there first as a young cook, then I did my sous chef, not sous chef, chef de partie, and then became sous chef in this restaurant. And after, out of this restaurant, I got my first chef job, my first second chef job. And then a friend, Tony, I met Tony, who went, because the chef from the first restaurant, I was in Switzerland in the first hotel, he also was a friend. Tony ended up with him in his kitchen doing my ex job, what I used to have. And we go out at night. I met him and something clicked. We felt good together. We didn't speak each other's language, but somehow we did do with hand and feet. As things happened, by the end of the summer, we were so in the wine that we decided to both emigrate. So we looked at what country and we decided, let's start in Canada. And we applied from Zurich out. I remember us traveling to Zurich to ask for the papers and to get the application for immigration done. We got the notification in that same winter that we were accepted to be, and we were of course sponsored by a big food company in Ontario, all Canada now, but then it was Ontario, Beaver Foods, and they sponsored us to go over there. So spring later we went to Canada, Toronto, 1976. We arrived in Toronto in February the 17th, and from then on we spent first a few years together. Then we sort of ended splitting up. Tony stayed with his company because he blossomed in this company. That was his style, what he liked. Me, I didn't like this cafeteria style, and I'm a restaurant man, so we separated. I separated from that company and went my own way, so I ended up working in the Vancouver area, in the Okanagan Valley for years. And I did, well, Tony and I, we did visit each other regularly, but we stay in contact as we are now. He is living even now 12, 13 hours from me, but we are daily on Skype, and so we have all the technology now. And that's it. That's how I got to Canada. I met, of course, in Canada, I worked all over. I went to up in the big north. I worked in Whitehorse. I did 1 year in Inuvik, Northwest Territory. And in Inuvik, Northwest Territory, I met a wonderful girl. I remember going to I had a big hotel. I was running the Eskimo Inn up there, all the food outlets. I was running a dining room, the Eskimo Inn dining room. We had a Sunday brunch, and I remember one day I cut the roast beef for the people passing the brunch. There was this wonderful smaller girl, dark-haired, very classy looking, and she had a beautiful, I'm a fool for big noses. I like women with a sensitive nose. And she had the most beautiful one. I got so excited. I went to all my stuff. I had 2 cafeterias, and I had an imbiss on the street running. So I alerted everybody from the bar. Also, there was a food service in the bar. I alerted everybody who worked there that to keep an eye out for that girl. Inuvik at this point was sort of a very small community, but extremely expensive. And whoever, only 3 restaurants and places where you could go. So, you know, anybody who is in Inuvik eventually passes through your place again. I gave out her description. Took, I think, a day or so, and all of a sudden the hamburger joint down there called me. I think she's here, she's here, she's here. So I went down there. I asked, and because I knew she was a French girl, a Quebec girl. I had one Quebec girl working with me in the bar. I asked her to please approach with me together, that girl, and to be sort of like, to make my first contact with somebody I don't know. So not to make that girl feel uncomfortable. And that was a good choice because, well, after that things went very quickly. And we lived together happily ever, almost 19 years, 20 years. That's Marielle, of course, now. And I came with her out here to Quebec and spent the last 25 years of my life in Quebec. finally started to learn how to speak French, because till then I didn't speak French. I spoke English already quite good, of course German and some Italian, Spanish. I had some basic knowledge of a bit Finnish, because I worked in Finland for a year. But French was not one of my languages. Did that. That's it. That's how I did this. And now I will take a little stop, get a cup of coffee, and I will cut in from yesterday's video the 7-8 minutes I cut out, which explains my drone business. And then we actually already finished. There will be no funnies on the end. So anybody who has been not cut off by now and who will be bored with my drone story, hey, it was nice having you with me, and I wish you farewell till next time. And one of them asked me he would be interested to explain how come I ended up here in Canada, how come I ended up being a drone fanatic. Well, the drone fanatic is easy. As a kid, I always wanted a remote control airplane. 2 times in my life, I gave myself this pleasure to buy the stuff. One time, I never got it off the ground. The second time, I crashed almost immediately. I'm just not that good at it. And then I realized I came in about 8 years ago, 7-8 years ago. There came the first little toy remote control helicopters, and I bought those cheap ones. I spent quite a fortune on cheap ones, so in all, I could have bought a better one right then. But I practice with the little ones, larger ones. I still have right now about 7 or 8 helicopters in my garage, which I'm not using. I will eventually give away to some kids or so. But and then the drone came out. The first Phantom 1 came out, and I knew this is what I wanted to go into. Now the drone then was about $600. The camera alone was the GoPro camera, because it was all set out for the GoPro camera, and I wanted the black one, of course, the best one. That was $550. So the whole setup with the video sender and the video reception and goggles, I paid for my first Phantom 1, cost about $1,600 to $1,800 then. And the drone was not even the most expensive part of it. And I had 2 or 3 Phantom 1s. I crashed now and then. I did my experience with it. They were not as reliable at all. It was all... They still had the return to home function. They had the compass setting, and you had to find the GPS. It was all there, but just not as well balanced as the Phantom 4 is now. There is no difference to be remarked. Then there came the Phantom 2. I got into Phantom 2 heavily. Still having, right now as we speak, I'm still having 2 Phantom 1s. And I'm having 2 Phantom 2s. I had 3 Phantom 2, but I gave one away to a friend I'm playing on the internet with. He wanted one so badly, so I offered him and I sent it to him. Just because I realized I will never use more than the one I'm having in action, and the other one I'm keeping for parts. That's it. I bought all the parts for all those Phantom 1, Phantom 2s. Then the Phantom 3 came out. I never went into it. I realized from the start there has been issues, flyaways, disturbances, unwanted disturbances. Now, one thing with the Phantom 2, at this point I had 3 or 4 Phantoms 2 at the time. I lost one in a flyaway. And then I realized what was the mistake with the Phantom 2. The mistake with the Phantom 2 was that it has been the interference that came from Wi-Fi signals, in heavily populated Wi-Fi signals. And so I needed a system that jumps, and the original DJI remote control stayed with one sender, one receiver, and if a Wi-Fi signal goes in between, it could scramble up this tremendously. But the Phantom 2 already had incorporated a second system, if you choose so. It's called the FAST system, FAST system. And I bought another remote control from another producer who had the FAST system incorporated. And what the FAST system does, it fluctuates signals. In 1 second, it jumps to 15, 20 different signals simultaneously. So the signal is never long enough with in one wave to be disturbed with. That's this way avoiding disturbance from Wi-Fi and outside influences. And since I have this, I have no more trouble with the Phantom 2. It's just brilliant. Working brilliant. And well, I have this, and then I never bought Phantom 3 and Phantom 3 Advanced and Phantom 3 Wi-Fi, and I did not want to change. It got into too much changes, and I decided to stay with the Phantom 2 until I got the Phantom 3, the Phantom 4 came out. I'm all excited now, the Phantom 4. And I followed the Phantom 4 for 2-3 months to read any problems with it. Couldn't find one person that legitimately bitched about the Phantom 4. Many people had some minging, but none of them was unexplainable. Most of it was, in my eyes, operator errors. So this was the first time a 3 months product was 3 months on the market and you had no bad incidences. That's when I decided I buy the Phantom 4. Never looked back. This is the best machine I ever flew. Now they came out with the Phantom Advanced and the Phantom Higher Class Pro and Pro Plus. The only thing what would make me buy a Pro Plus would be the incorporated extra brilliant tablet already built in, just because it would make it so much easier to fly on sunny days. This is a pain in the ass too. But I have invented a few styles of how to keep the sun out of my eyes. I think for the extra $300-400, it's not worth it. The camera itself, I'm very happy with the original Phantom 4 camera. I'm not into crazy photo taking. I do my flying as a hobby. It's already, I can go up to 4K. It's doing a fantastic job. And I wouldn't want it really any clearer, so I will not buy at the moment any Phantom 4. They just came out with the Phantom 4 Advanced that has a pretty good, it's basically the same what I have now, just with a better camera. Don't need it. So I will not spend the money on that. Well, that is my Phantom story. That is how I got into it, and I'm stuck with it. And how, well, that was the end of yesterday's portion. I hope this was informative enough. Of course, I promised you I will do a video in the next few nice days. Well, now I have to wait till the freaking snow is gone again, but to show you all my equipment which I have run up and running so far, because some of my helicopters and stuff, it's in storage in the garage. That's nothing. Have a good one till next time we meet again. Hopefully in bathing suits outside, railing in the, me in the speedo, imagine that. Woof. See you later.